Most people will spend the next 30 or 40 years working, saving, trying to get ahead. And at the end of it, they'll realize something uncomfortable. It wasn't that they didn't work hard enough. It's that they were holding the wrong kind of money the entire time. Think about your own life for a second. You get paid. You save what you can. Maybe you even invest a bit. And yet, everything keeps getting more expensive, faster than it feels like you're moving forward. So let me ask you something most people never ask. What if the problem isn't how much money you make, but what kind of money you're actually holding? Because there are two types of money. One gets easier and easier to create, which means it quietly loses value over time. And the other is incredibly hard to create, which means it protects the time and effort you put into earning it. And if you don't understand the difference, you can spend decades doing everything right and still end up behind. So before you work another year, before you save another dollar, you need to understand this. Because this one idea quietly decides who moves forward and who stays stuck. So what's actually going on here? Are things just randomly getting more expensive? Or is something else happening behind the scenes? Because think about it, your salary didn't suddenly double. Your skills didn't suddenly become less valuable. And yet, the same money that felt okay a few years ago now feels tight. Groceries, rent, energy. It's not one thing, it's everything, moving in the same direction. And that's the part most people miss. Because it doesn't feel like a crash. It feels normal, slow, gradual, easy to ignore. Until one day you realize you didn't fall behind all at once. You've been falling behind the whole time. So the real question is not, why is everything getting more expensive? It's this, why is my money buying less, even though I'm doing everything right? And once you start noticing that your money is slowly losing value, there's another question that naturally comes up. What actually makes something good money? Why did people across completely different places and times end up trusting the same things? Take gold. It didn't become money just because it looks nice. There were reasons. Gold is rare. You can't just find it anywhere, and you definitely can't create it out of nothing. It takes real effort to get more of it, but that's only part of the story. Gold also lasts. It doesn't rust. It doesn't decay. It doesn't disappear over time. A gold coin from hundreds of years ago is still gold today. It's also easy to recognize and hard to fake. You can test it, weigh it, verify it. You don't have to hope it's real. And over time, people started agreeing on something simple. This holds value. Not just in one country, not just for a short period, but across generations. And that's when something crosses the line. From being just a material to becoming money. Something that stores value, something people trust, something that doesn't change easily. That's what hard money looks like. Not perfect, but resistant. Difficult to create, difficult to manipulate, and widely accepted because of it. And then there's the other kind. Money that doesn't have to be found, or mined, or earned through effort first. Money that can simply be created, like fiat currency. Think about it like this. Imagine you had a machine, and with a few clicks, you could create more money. Not by working, not by producing anything, just by adding more of it into the system. That's how modern money works. There's no gold behind it, no fixed limit, nothing physically stopping more from being created. If more money is needed, more can be added. And if you're the one controlling that machine, you're in a very powerful position. Because now you can fund things immediately, solve problems quickly, keep the system moving. You don't have to wait. You don't have to save first. You can act now and create the money to support it. And that's why this kind of money exists. It's not bad by default. It's useful, flexible, fast. And in the beginning, it feels like the perfect solution. And when more money gets created, Each piece of it is worth a little less. That's why prices go up. Not because everything suddenly became more valuable, but because the money itself became easier to create. And most people already feel this, even if they've never really thought about why. This isn't something new. It's happened over and over again. Long before paper money, people used whatever was hard to get and widely accepted. In some places, it was seashells, not because they were special, but because they were rare where people lived. You couldn't just walk outside and collect them, so people trusted them. They became money. In other places, it was things like pearls, or large stone discs, or even salt. Not because they were perfect, but because they were limited and hard to replace. And as long as that stayed true, they worked. But the moment that changed, everything broke. When Europeans arrived in parts of Africa and Asia, they brought shiploads of seashells with them. Shells that were once rare suddenly became everywhere. And almost overnight, they stopped being money. Same thing happened in other places. Once something became easy to get, people stopped trusting it. Because that's the rule. If money can be created easily, it eventually loses its value. And this pattern has repeated itself for thousands of years. And then something interesting always happens. Even when societies start with hard money, they don't stick with it. Because hard money has a problem. It's restrictive. You can't just create more of it when you need it. And sooner or later, someone in power decides to bend the rules. Take the Roman Empire. They used silver coins as money, real silver, real value. But over time, they started to cheat. They didn't announce it. They didn't warn anyone. They just changed the coins. Each new coin had a little less silver in it, a bit more cheap metal mixed in. It looked the same, it felt the same, but it wasn't the same. And because of that, they could make more coins than before. At first, no one noticed. Everything kept working. But slowly, prices started rising, trust started fading, and the system became unstable. Same pattern, different place. In medieval times, kings would literally shave tiny amounts off gold and silver coins, collecting the difference for themselves. Again, more money in the system without more real value behind it. And every time this happens, it feels like a clever solution in the moment, until it isn't. Because once people realize what's happening, they stop trusting the money. And when trust goes, the system follows. And today, we don't shave coins anymore. We just change the numbers. Money isn't physical for most people now. It's digits on a screen, which means creating more of it doesn't take gold or time or effort. It just takes a decision. And when new money is created, it doesn't show up with you first. It moves through the system, and by the time it reaches you, prices have already adjusted. That's why it feels like you're always catching up. You're earning money in a system where more of it is constantly being added. And over time, that quietly reduces what your money can actually do for you. Not all at once, but slowly. And if you don't see it, you end up playing the game on the wrong side. So if that's how the system works, then the real question becomes, what actually protects you? What kind of money doesn't quietly lose its value over time? And if you look across history, the answer is surprisingly consistent. It's not just about scarcity. That matters, but it's not enough on its own. Because for something to truly work as money, it has to do a few things really well. It has to hold value over time. Not perfectly, but reliably. So the effort you put into earning it today is still there tomorrow. It has to last, not break down, not disappear, not degrade over time. It has to be easy to recognize, something people instantly understand and widely accept without hesitation. It has to be easy to verify. You shouldn't need permission or trust a third party just to know it's real. It has to be divisible. You can give a little or a lot without losing its value. It has to be portable. You can move it across distance without relying on someone else to carry it for you. It has to be independent. No one needs to approve the transaction. No system needs to be online. You can use it directly. And it has to be hard to fake. Because the moment something can be copied easily, it stops being trustworthy. But all of this points to something deeper. Real money represents stored effort, time, energy, work. And the reason it holds value is because you can't just create that out of nothing. That's what makes it different. That's what makes it hard. And when you look at what actually survives, there aren't many examples. Most things that tried to become money didn't last. Take things like salt. At one point, it was incredibly valuable. People used it to trade, to store value, even to pay wages, because it was hard to produce, limited, widely needed. But over time, production improved, supply increased. And just like that, it stopped working as reliable money. Same with shells, same with many other things. They worked until they became easy to create. And that's the pattern. That's why, over time, only a few things actually hold up, like gold. Tested across centuries, different countries, different systems, still recognized, still trusted. And now, something like Bitcoin is trying to do the same thing in a digital world. Different form, same idea. Make it limited, make it hard to create, make it independent. Because once something becomes easy to produce, history shows what happens next. So if you zoom out for a second, this has never really been about gold, or Bitcoin, or any one thing. It's about understanding the game you're playing. For most people, money is just something you earn, spend, and try to save. But what we just walked through shows something different. Not all money is the same. And if you don't understand the difference, you can spend years working, saving, doing everything right, and still fall behind. Not because you failed, but because the system you're in works differently than you thought. So the real question is this: where is your time actually stored? In something that can be created whenever needed, or in something that resists being created? Because once you see that, you can't unsee it. And it changes how you look at everything: saving, investing, even your paycheck. If this clicked for you, there's a deeper layer to this. I break down how inflation actually works and why it's not random in another video. And I also go through the few assets that have survived every major crisis and why most people completely overlook them. Because in the end, this isn't about predicting the future. It's about not being on the wrong side of it. If you found this useful, give it a like so more people can see it. And if you want to understand how money really works, subscribe. There's more coming. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.